Hi guys, let me show you my key approaches to phrasing. Hi guys, Ollie here. So today I thought I'd talk you through one of the most important aspects of soloing, and that's phrasing. Let's get started. Of course, learning what notes to play on chord changes is important, what arpeggios, what scales, etc. to use. But I won't be breaking that down now. What's equally important though is learning how to phrase on the chord changes themselves. So this is about being aware of the chord changes in the form as we play over them. So this helps give a solo a clear direction and helps us play with the chords rather than randomly on top. So to do this, try playing into chord changes and into new sections rather than after they happen. Applying this to my own playing really made a big difference. To work on this, try playing a line that's designed perfectly to land on the chord change you're aiming for. We could take an easy chord sequence, something like D minor, G to A minor, a bar of D, a bar of G, and 2 of the A minor, and we can try and land the A minor on a specific note. So we'll aim for this C note. That's the minor third of our A minor. It's going to be a bar of the D minor, and then a bar of G, and the second half of that bar, we could try playing a 4-note phrase that lands perfectly on the A minor. So it's going to be 2 beats of G, 1, 2, and then on beats 3 and 4, and I'll play a line that then directs me towards that C note. So I go 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? Every time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Or 3 and 4 and 1. Or 3 and 4 and 1, etc. You get the idea. We're just going to try and constantly land that A minor perfectly. I'll play that over a backing track to give you an idea. So it's going to be 3 and 4 and 1 on the G. Okay? G, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 3 and 4 and 1. We could work on all kinds of phrase lengths to practice landing on that chord change. So for example, we could take the G, but we play the whole bar this time. So 1 bar of the E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, then G, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Went all the way up from a G note there. Or I could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, etc. Trying to get really comfortable with that idea of always landing that specific note. So another idea for this would be aiming to solo through a set of chord changes, aiming for a certain note each time. So perhaps the third of each chord. So we could take this sequence. A minor, F, C to G. Big old cliched 6, 4, 1, 5 sequence. Big pop cliche, that one. We could aim for the third of each chord every time. So on the A minor, that's the C note. On the F, that's the A. On the C, that's the E. And on the G, the B note. So each time we're aiming for those notes as a resolution point. Just to caveat this, it's gonna sound pretty cheesy. The chord sequence itself is pretty cheesy. It's going to be overly sweet, and if you did this all the time, it's going to feel very formulaic. But it's just a way to start practicing aiming for specific notes, and the third is of course a very strong one for a chord change. So aiming for the third on each chord. 3 of A minor, 3 of F, would be the 3 of A minor, but I forgot to make this loop continue, but you get the idea. Along with this, you can try playing outside the changes to make the harmony even stronger when you land there. So for example, I go back to that D minor, G, A minor sequence. When I'm on that G, I'm going to play some outside lines to land the A minor. I'll start off just using E altered as a starting point for this. E altered would lead me nicely to A minor, as if I played an E7 kind of sound. So I'll show you how that sounds. Or another way to play outside is to suggest new harmony on top of the old. So on that G7 chord, rather than G7, I'm going to suggest an E7 flat 9 to lead me back to that A minor. So playing outside the changes is a really nice way to add tension and then release when you're landing back in chord changes. I'll be making a full video on this soon, so if you're interested, stay tuned. And lastly, when you're comfortable with all of these ideas, try learning to phrase your ideas over the bar line. So as opposed to just playing into the bar and landing it, we now play into the chord change, but then carry on our phrase afterwards. Let me show you. Okay, awareness of form is really important when it comes to phrasing. Knowing where you are within a song, what section you're on, or where the next section is coming up is incredibly important when it comes to crafting meaningful and clear solos. It's a really good idea to learn to feel the form and feel the chord changes and the bar lengths, etc. without anyone else covering this for you. To practice this, I think give yourself some really clear and simple chord changes, perhaps a 12-bar blues. Just use a drum track. This means no harmony behind us, so we have to be very clear about where we are within the form and what chord changes we're playing over during our solo. Something like this. Okay. Okay, so as I said earlier, the more clear you are with where you're landing in the form, the more clear and concise your ideas are going to be, and the solo is hopefully going to be much better as a result. We can take this a step further by taking the drum track out completely and just playing to a metronome. I'm going to do the same thing again, 12-bar blues, but I'm just going to play to a metronome at 130 BPM. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Chord. 1. 5. 4, back to 1. To take this one step further, we can make it even harder by putting the metronome on beats 2 and beats 4 at 65 BPM. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So click on 2 and 4. That's going to mean we have to be really conscious to not rush, not fall behind, and really conscious of where we are within the form. 1, 2, 1, 2. To the 4. Here comes 5. 4. 5 again. So you get the idea. I'm just trying to be really conscious to make sure I'm staying on the chord that I should be playing over. This can feel a little bit kind of cut and paste, paint by numbersy at the moment, but it's just, again, a really good tool to start getting this awareness going within your own playing. Okay, so once we have a really good grasp on form, we can zoom out even further and start looking at the solo as a whole. Okay, so in the last part of this video, we need to bring all those ideas together and think about the overall arc of our solo. So that's going to be the story we want it to tell. It is, of course, a really good idea to work on solos by playing over a loop or a backing track and going round and round, working on new ideas, new concepts. But when it actually comes to performance, so soloing on a song, whether it's 8 bars, 16, 32 bars, or just an open solo, that solo has a beginning and it also has an end. So I think one of the main things that is overlooked when it comes to practicing improvisation is actually practicing with a finite amount of time in mind. This forces us to really think about a solo as having a beginning, a middle that hopefully you're building towards, some kind of crescendo or peak, and an end to it. So no matter the context of the solo, it could be 8 bars, 16 bars, 32 bars, it could be an open solo, it could be low in energy, it could be high in energy. We need to think about the solo as having some kind of arc and some kind of story that we're trying to get across to the listener. So it's really important, I think, to start practicing solos with this in mind. So just to show you this idea, I'll leave you with an example of me improvising over a 16-bar chord sequence. I'll give some annotations above that explain my way through it. If you got to the end of this, congratulations, it was a bit of a marathon. Hopefully this gives you some really cool ideas to start working on your own phrasing. A really great idea of all of this is to start filming your own solos. So you can look back, you can observe, critique, praise as well, because that's important too, but start ironing out any problems you might not have noticed whilst you're playing. So perhaps your phrasing is a bit rushed here, or perhaps you're not leaving space here, or whatever it might be. This can help us move towards better, more cohesive soloing. So with that in mind, I've made the last backing track that you heard available for free on my website for you to try this to. Why not film yourself before working on these ideas, and then again after practicing them? You'll really notice the difference. And feel free, if you want, to send these through to me on my website. I'd love to see the progress before and then after. So if you like this video, feel free to show your support by hitting like, you can subscribe, and you can hit the bell icon. If you want to show further support to help me in making more lesson content, you can buy me a coffee or PayPal donate via the link in the description below. For backing tracks, supporting lesson content and solo tabs, feel free to check out my website in the link below for PDF and audio downloads. But for now, thanks again for watching, happy guitaring, and I'll see you on the next one.